Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today we'll be looking at Tinfoil Comics #1. This is from Deadcrow. So before I saw this one, I saw #4, which was a collaboration with Domino Comics. So I thought it was a Domino Comics thing primarily, but this is Deadcrow Publishers, and this is edited by Floyd Tangeman, who I've seen his stuff in a couple things now. So this is cool. Cool to see this. It looks like it's coming out of San Francisco. So, speaking to the tradition of underground comics, I think there's some connection there, obviously. And this one is much easier to interpret, so I can actually figure out who the artists are. But when I followed up on a lot of the artists on Instagram as I was reading the ones I liked, it seemed like, or in the comics themselves, you'll see one, it seemed like the trend is that young artists apparently find Instagram to be passe, and I don't know where they're moving, but they're all just deleting their Instagram and saying email me, which I get the temptation, but it's too bad because it's a way to build an audience and follow up. So I'm curious about that trend, how that's gonna work out for people, and what will replace Instagram in terms of like a place to grow an audience. It's been the best thing for that and this channel have been the two best things in terms of growing an audience for myself. So I'm curious about that. But anyways, let's take a look at a lot of the artists. This first one is by Fried Feet. It's kind of a Vaughn Baudet smoke a spliff. I can't imagine how high you would have to get that high, but San Francisco's probably got some of the best weed you can get a hold of. So, I don't know. This is Virgil Warren. I kind of dig the style on this. I mean, none of the stories in here, they're all so short. It's hard for it to add up to anything. But the one thing I noticed that was compelling to me looking through this is how much, if not all of this, is done with like markers and actual physical stuff. And this one, especially Virgil Warren, there's like a tangible sense of the physicality of the original piece in it, which I like. And there's another piece by Virgil Warren in the back where I think the style is a little bit more like under control or something. And so I'm interested in that artist, Virgil Warren. This is Jade Marr, whose stuff shows up a couple times throughout the book, if I'm correct. Yeah. This is someone who's not on Instagram now, which is too bad because some of the other stuff I liked. Chea Starts, just a little one-pager. I think this is like a dream journal, it seems like. I really like this, Hope Kogod. And right here, this is the first time I noticed it. They said, it's 2020, I deleted Instagram. Like, come on, get with the future, everybody. Just email me, thank you. Like, okay, cool, but I liked your art and I want to see updates about it. I don't want to email you about it. So that's too bad because I feel like this is an artist I'm interested in. The comic, was short, but visually I think it's cool. Sam Siegel. This just seemed like someone who's paranoid. Chea Starts and Ethan Crane. Another kind of like dream journal one here. This is someone who does still have an Instagram. Thank you, Nick. Nick Fowler, whose work I noted in one of the other ones and had already gone and followed on Instagram. Really like what Nick's doing here. And also, if I remember correct, Nick Fowler was one of the people that did the quilted thing. So again, a real good sense of like physical materiality in this comic. And I think, if I remember correct, Nick Fowler was part of a collaborative piece that was quilted that I really liked the materiality of it too. Here's Floyd Tangeman. This is, I'm assuming, Deadcrow's kind of editor-in-chief here. I really like this at the bottom. And out of all the Floyd Tangeman comics I've read now, not a bunch, but in these anthologies, that's a name I've been seeing over and over. This one is the most like narratively straightforward, which is cool. Like I finally felt like I had something to latch onto. with this like kind of little narrative of transformation. And I really like this kind of multi-directional little hub idea there. That's cool. Jeremy McBrien, somebody else I couldn't find that I kind of liked what they were doing. The scans of the art don't look that great. It's pretty pixelated. But underneath that, I kind of like what I'm seeing with the style. It's a little bit like clusterfuck aesthetics, but there's something about it I dig, especially right here at the end where the main character goes to sleep and then their head like dissolves into this little mark making here. I thought that was a really cool visual. And that like visuals that you wouldn't get in a normal comic because normal comics are constrained by the standard materials that we use. And using the non-standard materials in this like allowed for a moment where that could be, I could see that kind of mark making style becoming something like little steam lines off of a poo or something like that. But you wouldn't get it unless you switch mediums. So I really like that. And again, the physicality of it all is nice. This is Olga Korkilius. A Time Wizard Joint. This is another kind of, I don't know, it's got that weird like Bigfoot wobbly Von Baudet thing. This is more of a straightforward story. Here's another Jade Mar. This was the one where I went trying to find Jade Mar because I liked what I saw here. And then on the Instagram, it was like, I deleted the app. I'm leaving my profile here. Email me. Okay, well, I'd like to see visual updates. I don't want to get on a mailing list, but whatever. Hans de Haas here on this one. Here's another Jade Mar. In this one, Jade Mar's stuff is intriguing to me because of the drawing style. The story content all seems to be like autobiography, sort of, but a little more abstract. But right here says, I can only tell a story from my perspective. I could try to tell from yours, but I don't think it would feel right. And I've commented on that a couple times now, where there seems to be this like ethic in storytelling now that you can only tell stories from your experience, like that there's something wrong about imagining your way into someone else's shoes. And I find that to be quite distressful, because I think one of the most important things about fiction is that it's the empathy machine, that you can imagine yourself into other people's shoes. And so that's like being actively demonized in some areas, and then some artists like this, it just doesn't feel right to them. They've kind of grown up with that. They feel like all they can do is autobiography. And I'm not claiming that Jade Mar, you know, it may be entirely a personal instinct that Jade Mar has, so I'm not attaching it to that larger trend necessarily. But it's just another one of these, like, it feels weird, like how closed in and claustrophobic that must feel. And you know, and they're talking about crowded rooms can be silent when no one has anything to say, but it's like this seems like the opposite of that. It seems like people just going further and further into their heads and spending less and less time with each other, and losing the ability to communicate almost anything other than what's going on in your head. And I find that to be a bit troubling. I think comics especially, we've celebrated the autobio comics so much that we've kind of left I don't want to say a whole generation, because this book's full of stuff, but it really feels like one of the prevalent kind of modes of comic storytelling right now, and I'm not sure that's a great thing. Silas Rock here, a little adventure comic with the character Osvaldo. Seems like there's a bigger story there. Some more Lemonhead. This one was quite strange to me. Isaac Leahy, I believe. I really like the composition of this. I didn't know anything about what it added up to, but it's the maze, and there's, I don't know, just a lot of little things to go through and try and piece together. It didn't add up to anything to me. There's like a cheat book. It's playing with the idea of mazes and games, but I don't know that's actually playable or solvable. I think it's just more of a visual thing. Here's another Olga Kokurius. Seems like things are getting blown up way past their original scan. Here's another Lemonhead. This Lemonhead I found to communicate more, and there was a particular, it's all about love, the inability to connect, and issues around love. So I felt like this one I could latch on to what was actually saying. And there's some cool formal things where you're reading this way, but you're also referring to something in the future. But again, just, I don't know, like there's a lot of unhealthy worldviews in here, or people struggling because of unhealthy worldviews, it seems like, in all of this work. So I don't know, it's just, it seems like a lot of people that are stressed about the world, and some of that's like rightfully, you know, so they're kind of coming from a youth standpoint, rebelling, trying to be outside of the claustrophobic system. But some of it just seems like people just expressing their own unhealthy state, you know. Well, it's fine, it's a good thing, but I don't know, it's I guess it's no different than the underground comics of the 60s or 70s. It feels like the same type of outsider stuff to me. And then this is Virgil Warren again, and here I really like the style. Like you see these line of rectangular marks that have been made to create a bigger texture. I really like that. And then on this one, I really like how the markers are integrating. It seems like a page out of a much bigger story. Like, I don't know, other than the visual, like what's going on there, but it's really cool. And then here's Cosmic Comics. And this does claim on the cover to be the only global collective consciousness comics magazine you will ever need, which is a hell of a claim, but within the, you know, the best comics in the universe kind of bragging. So that's Tinfoil Comics #1 by Deadcrow Publishers. We'll put a link to it. This is definitely, again, as I keep saying with all these anthologies, the kind of things that I think we should support in an effort to grow the medium. I'll be honest that this one, there was a couple things I liked in it. Unfortunately, most of the ones I liked, I don't have an ability to follow up on. This one, I think, had more misses than hits for me, just personal preference. But it's the kind of thing that, like, I do think we should be supporting these because, you know, this is how some artists who are working through the kinks work their way up and get exposure and start to find, you know, like someone like me that's going to be like, okay, well, I am going to follow up on this. And, you know, you start to build an audience that way. I think it's a bit sad that the artists are depriving them of the ability to do that. And I hope there's some other platform other than Instagram that can grow up if everyone's going to leave it. But I think these are that platform. You know, this is what the platform used to be. So I think, you know, for the future of the medium, we should be supporting this kind of stuff for sure. And you're getting into it knowing you're gonna, oh, maybe I only like 3 and there's 20 artists in here, or maybe I get lucky and I like 10 of them or something like that. I think that's just part of buying, especially underground comics like anthologies. Is it's going to be a mixed bag, and you're going in there hunting, and that's the fun of it. So yeah, support Tinfoil Comics, support Deadcrow Publisher. And then if you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, the best ways to support us are through our Patreon. It's always good to have some extra funds to buy the books that we're reviewing with, and then supporting what Sean's doing with Living the Line, the publishing company. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those books that you can order now. The Exile by Eric Creek is a gorgeously illustrated Viking saga of revenge. Eric Creek calls it his Viking Western. It's about a guy who's been away on the warpath and is returning home to some family troubles that have to be resolved. And this is told in just this amazing, like, kind of 3-color art style that looks like old woodblock cuts or something. It's absolutely gorgeous book that you've got to pick up. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.